Hello, I'm Dr. Michelle Jorgensen with Living Well with Dr. Michelle, and I am so excited to share with you what I am doing today because, as you can see outside my window right here, I still have snow on the ground. It's definitely not spring yet. It's early February, but anytime I'm starting to see ground underneath that melting snow, I'm starting to think about how to grow things. And I love to garden for many reasons. I love to garden because it's great exercise. It gets me outside, it gets me in the sunshine, it gets me touching the earth, so I'm grounding, if you know all about that. It also feeds my family, and it gives me that peace and security of knowing that no matter what happens in the world, no matter what crazy things come about, like COVID perhaps, I'm going to have food, and I'm going to be able to grow food for years to come. I love gardening. So hopefully you've learned about it in my book, 12 Steps to Emergency Preparedness, called Be Prepared, Not Scared. And I'm literally writing the 12th chapter of my book, 12 Steps to Self-Sufficiency. And in that, I have even more information about gardening. So I'm really excited to share with you all of that information. But today, I want to give you a sneak peek into what I'm doing for my own household and my own house. Every single year, I design my garden. So this is my 2020 garden. I have my beds that are out here that you can see behind me. I also have my greenhouse area, some of my herb area, and I design out what I'm going to plant where. Now, the reason that I do that is because there are certain things that should go in certain areas. Sometimes plants that are tall should always be where they're not going to shade others. You should rotate certain crops. So beans and peas add a ton of great nutrients to the soil, but things like tomatoes and squash and cucumbers rob the soil of nutrients or use up all the nutrients. So we have to rotate them. There's also pests that come. So my cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, aphids love them. That means that aphids are going to be more prone to be in that area next year. So I'm not going to put my broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage in the same place year after year because I don't want the pests to be able to find them that easily. So I want to rotate things. I also want to make sure that I have room in my garden for everything that I want to plant. Now that's actually my number one problem because I love seeds and I love plants and I want to plant everything that there is possible to plant. Unfortunately, I can't do that because I don't have acres upon acres upon acres to do that. So I always design it out to make sure that I'm planting everything that I want in my garden and I'm allowing room for all of it. Sometimes that means I can't do 4 rows of something, I have to do 3 rows instead. But that's all right because it's usually more than plenty anyway. But this just gives me a real good organization, real good plan. Now, I'm very systematic on some things, and one of those things is the way I do this. So every single year, you can see here's my 2019 design, and it's the exact same as 2020. It just has things moved around. I also have my little handy dandy graph paper, and you can see I have used quite a few of them. This is the same graph paper I use every year. The reason is I went and I measured my garden years ago. I measured out exactly how big the beds are. I measured out how many beds I have, and I drew it out. So if I use the exact same graph paper every year, what I have to do is I just copy from one year to the next the exact placement of all the beds and the length of all the beds. That way I'm going to get my design right. It's really kind of fun. I get to pull out my ruler, my mechanical pencil. These are things that I love to use, and I get to make everything just look very designed. Now, through the year, I keep these designs inside this little waterproof pouch. The reason I do that, along with a pencil, I'll explain the reason for that too. The reason I do that is because this actually goes out to the garden with me. So when I'm going to plant, there's no way on earth that I'm going to possibly remember everything that I've designed, where I should put the plants, how many plants I should put, all those kinds of things. There's no way I'm going to be able to remember all of that. So what I do is I put my design here in this pouch and I take it to the garden with me along with the seeds. The other thing I have in here is a pencil. And the reason I have a pencil is because invariably I'm going to change something. Either there's something that's reseeded itself from last year. Let's say I have a whole bunch of spinach that I planted last year in an area. I let it go to seed. This year, a whole bunch might be coming up. Well, then I don't necessarily want to pull out that reseeded spinach just to plant what I'd planned to plant in that area. So I'm going to refigure things and move things around a bit so that I can allow for those reseeded spinach plants as well as all the other plants I want. Now, every single time I do this, I guarantee you I've done this so many times I can't even count. I'll say, oh, I'll remember that. I'll remember what I did instead. Never. Never do I remember. And I don't know why, if it's just something I block out or if it's just something I don't have to remember. But I never remember those changes if I don't write them down. So that's why I have a pencil in here, because I will quickly erase what I had planned, write in what I'm actually doing, and switch it up. Like I said, every single time I convince myself that I don't have to do that, I'm wrong. Now, the other thing I do for planning is when my seeds come, I actually go through the big package of seeds, and you can see I like to grow a lot of things, and I sort them by planting time. Again, I have my own planting times that I use. So these are my seed planting times, and I have this for the year that I organized it. So January, February 5th, February 16th. Obviously, I'm not going to have those exact dates every single year, but I'm going to find a weekend or a day that I'm going to be able to plant that's similar to that date. So today I am planting, well, this is February 5th. Today, I believe, is February 6th. And so I'm planting everything that's on my February 5th list. So I don't have a lot to plant today, actually. And pretty much the only thing I'm going to be putting into pots today or seedlings today is peppers. That's a big one. I'm actually going to start chitting my potatoes, which means preparing them to be able to be planted in a month or so. You know, that's actually something that's interesting to think about and to know. I ordered potato starts. It's basically, they're called seed potatoes. And when I went on to order them, I knew that there was going to be a shortage of seeds, of starts, of everything this year. So it gave me the option of choosing to have them shipped to me when it was my planting time or have them shipped to me now. The reason I had them shipped to me now is because I've had it happen before where if I wait till my planting time, things are gone, they're back ordered, and they don't have enough to fulfill all of their orders. And so I end up getting something that I didn't really want. So I've learned my lesson. So I have everything shipped to me now. I want to make sure that I have it in my home ready to go. And I store those things the same way that they'd be storing them at the seed catalog place or the place that they have the seed potatoes. So I'm storing them in my refrigerator right now. They're being called cold stratified, or they're being told that it's winter right now because it is winter right now. So they're being stored in that very cold place where they won't sprout. And I'm going to be starting to incrementally get them out and get them ready to realize that it's spring and they should be waking up. So that's what I'm going to be doing at home. But that's a little tip. Buy things and have them shipped to you now so that you have them, because this year there's going to be some shortages. So, like I said, I sort things by seed planting time. That's going to be different for wherever you are, because you're not exactly where I am. That's going to be different. Again, in my books, I talk about this. There's things online that you can go through and find seed planting times. You need to find those things and create yourself a master list like this of things that you're going to plant at certain times. Now, on my master list, I have inside, things I'm going to be planting inside means that's when I'm going to be doing my seedlings, inside pots inside the house, that I'm going to be then planting outside eventually in the summertime. I also have GH, that means greenhouse, things I'm going to be planting in my greenhouse. And then I have outside planting starting in March. Middle of March, I have outside planting happening. That's going to be beets, cabbage, broccoli, potatoes, all those things that are going to go outside in the middle of March. So I go through and sort all of my seeds by seed planting time. This one says start outside March or April. This one says seed in early and then out late. This just gives me a guide. So when I have my day now, February 6th, that I want to go through and I want to find what am I going to plant today, it's going to be these. These are my seed in early. So I'm planting them early inside, and then they're going to go outside after frost. This is, again, just organization. This is just using the time I have now so that I can save myself time when it gets really busy. Because as soon as I start planting things out in March, as soon as I start working the ground, I'm out there having to work and clean up things and weed. Yeah, weeds start really early. I have to weed, I have to do all of this work. I don't have the time then to really go through and organize all of this well. So I'm using the time now because there's not a lot going on outside at the moment. Just a little bit. I have some winter gardening happening out there, but it doesn't require a lot of maintenance currently. So I'm using this time to organize myself and get everything ready. Now I'm going to be starting some seeds inside today. So I'll film some of that, maybe today, maybe next time I do some seeds inside. Just how to do that. It's very simple and it saves a ton of money. I'll usually have maybe 6 or 8 flats of seeds, actually probably more than that, of starts that I have ready to plant out. Sometimes they go in early spring if I'm wanting to do some broccoli or cabbage starts, or after frost, which are going to be the tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, eggplants. Those things will all be after frost. I have saved hundreds of dollars in doing this because each of those starts is sometimes $2 to $3 a piece. Whereas my seed, you know, I have 25 tomato seeds right here in this package for $3. So I can essentially have 25 tomato plants for the same price that I could have one tomato plant from the store. There's easy ways to seed. I don't do it in any fancy way. I actually do it in my laundry room right now because my downstairs is filled with my kiddos. So I just start them in my laundry room and we ease them outside when it's time to plant. So hopefully that gives you some ideas about organization, about how to get ready for the planting season. I can't wait to get started. I'm gonna get on this right as soon as I turn off the video. Thank you all and enjoy your gardens.